Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you very much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among other things. Now we're taking a look at Bitcoin today, and obviously the main reason why is because my subscribers have asked me to cover this in detail to see what the heck is going on, right? This is insane, waking up to a market like this. Some of you have been awake all day and you've probably been very familiar with what's going on, watching it full time. But unfortunately, we had a major sell-off down past the 30,000 mark. So we're going to take a look at best practice here today and kind of see what might be a good entry point for you, as well as understanding the big picture state of the union for Bitcoin, just so we know exactly what's going on and how to approach this, because this is very normal. Believe it or not, this is extremely common. If you're new to the industry, this is nothing abnormal. It's unfortunate, yes, of course, depending on where your positions are. But for lack of better terms, we are not in dire straits by any means, okay? So I want to give you some peace of mind there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the charts. Just before we do, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. You should always do your own research. Speaking of research, I do a lot of it myself, and I like to provide that to you through my Signal groups. Okay, so I have a Signal group, link in the description below through my Patreon account. Please feel free to reference that. That is now live. And that is because my subscribers had asked for me to go ahead and review that. So thank you to my subscribers for allowing me to give you the opportunity to help you, but also furthermore, make sure that you are profitable in this industry, because it is actually doing very well and you are in good hands. So just be sure to reference that in your own time. But without further ado, why don't we just go ahead and let's check it out. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin, see what is going on here. As we all very well know, it is not a very good state, but I want to try to find, a good entry point perhaps for you, as well as just understanding best practice in a climate like this, because these things definitely do happen. And unfortunately, we broke a major support level, and it's really hard to say where we're going to go from here. So let's take a look at the charts and figure that out. And just before we do, I'd like to kind of point this out here and just take a look at just how awesome the market is, right? So here's Bitcoin. It's down 26% in the last 7 days, and pretty much everything else is in bright red, okay? The only thing doing well right now is USDT and USDC. Let me just keep going through here. Oh, BUSD, of course. But yeah, if it wasn't for a type of tether, you'd basically be falling just like Bitcoin right now. So we're in this downward spiral, so to speak. Not to say it's a bad thing. There's definitely some opportunities, perhaps, but it does scare a lot of people. So just wanted to kind of throw that out there and take a look there, because obviously that factors in here, right? That is a realistic aspect of how Bitcoin controls the market, right? So it's just like the ring, the one coin to rule them all. So why don't we take a look here first at Bitcoin. Now let's look at the one-day chart to kind of get perspective on what's going on. And first and foremost, we can see this death cross. It kind of started everything here, because as we can see, when the 50-day moving average comes down to cross the 200, specifically on the one-day chart, the price action, regardless of how I think low the RSI could have been at the time, or just in general, how low the price was compared to where it should have been, it kept going down. And that's just what happens. Major sell-offs occur when these things cross in a downward fashion. So just something to note there. Again, that's probably the main reason why this occurred, just based on the technical standpoint alone. So just be mindful of that when we see that happening, especially with Bitcoin in the state of the union right now. It's just a perfect storm for a complete sell-off bearish market at this point. So there is still speculation that we're still in a bull market, so just keep that in mind too. They could very well recover, but honestly, after passing 30,000, it's concerning. It does kind of make us all feel very uncomfortable, especially with all of our portfolios just slowly draining cash. So again, always try to have best practice in that sense. Keep money aside in Tether. That's why Tether is doing well right now, or just in general, your Tether would be doing well right now, right? If Bitcoin was selling off. So it's just kind of the common rule there. Try to always keep some money liquid so you can invest when to potentially buy the dip. Now, should we buy this dip? I don't know. Let's find out and kind of see where we're going here. Now, RSI is extremely low. Last time it passed down here, we did see a retracement. It continued sideways and it came back up. But oftentimes when we have this type of bearish sentiment, it can really be an indication of the fact that it might continue. And what we want to probably look at here, and we can switch over to time to mark sequential here, the TDS, this really helps us understand exhaustion and kind of knowing how far down the rabbit hole we could go. Now, this isn't perfect, of course, but on the one-day chart, it does tend to give us an indication of just how far in, because ideally we're looking for, usually this indication tells us that once we hit a 9, it's supposed to turn around, right? It's supposed to kind of recover and or retract depending on which direction it's heading. And right now we're on the sixth day of bearish sentiment, a bearish momentum essentially, right? So hypothetically, we've got 3 more days worth of this type of price action in order to essentially see some type of recovery. Now, could it recover today? Yes, possibly, but I feel as if we're going to come down and test even further support levels. I think it's what's 28,500 plus or minus is a current support level. It's like the only support level we have left. So we'll take a look at that here in a moment, but TDS is basically telling us that we're looking kind of extremely bearish right now, okay? Now, moving back over to Bitcoin, as far as the one-day chart is concerned, kind of more the traditional indicators. Again, we got the death cross moving downwards. That kind of started this all. And then if we take a look, let's go ahead and take a peek at the 4-hour chart and see what's going on here. Again, we're both working beneath both averages, right? Both MAs. We got the 200 here and the 50. The 50 was a good support level for a little while. Unfortunately, we lost that. As soon as the death cross occurred, that's right about here. This is when the death cross crossed. The 50 crossed downwards over the 200 on the one-day chart, causing the price to continue to plummet. Now, there's probably some fundamentals here as well that I'm not aware of. I honestly haven't been all that tuned into it recently, but based on the technicals alone, I can tell you that this is all likely because of the first initial death cross and the fact that when these things happen, there's this continuation that occurs. All the whales get out right here, and then this is probably, likely a lot of us trying to get out too to save face and kind of recover our costs. So that's kind of what we're looking at here for Bitcoin on the 4-hour chart. Again, RSI is extremely low, so yes, it's an indication of a buy signal, but it doesn't mean you want to get in, and we want to wait for the RSI to come back over 30 in order to get that indication just with the RSI alone. Again, you never take entry on the RSI alone. Just something to note. All right, so down below here too, if we look at the moving average, the MACD, the moving average convergence divergence, you can see we're still in a bearish trend. There is no sign of any type of recovery at this point because we need to see some green candles in order to have some type of bounce back. You can see it back here. It was definitely trying back here, but really it just turned right around, right? It just kept going down. Because normally when you see this right here and these 2 lines cross, then it's a good indication of a buy signal, but just kept on going, never crossed, so it never truly gave us that indication, which is nice, but also unfortunate because it came up and just sold right back off, which is pretty common when the bears are, taking full control here. So that's kind of what we're looking at the 4-hour chart. Let's take a look at the 4-hour on Tom DeMark, and we're probably going to see something similar in the sense that, yes, see, we had this reset. We had one green bar here, but it did reset, and we're on the 3rd out of potentially 9, I guess you could say, bearish candlesticks. So we're probably going to see another 2 or 3 days of bearish momentum. Again, according to this indicator, and this indicator does do a pretty good job of telling us, momentum and exhaustion. So we haven't reached a state of exhaustion yet, according to this chart. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the 1-hour chart, and which we're going to do here is really just take a quick look at Ichimoku cloud. A big surprise here. This is a dark cloud, right? Unfortunately, not much to disseminate except for the fact that there is no good entry points. Because again, the rule of thumb here is that when the price action drops below the cloud, it's a short signal. When it crosses above, it's a buy signal. Okay, that's kind of the easy way to describe it. And as we can see, even though it touched the cloud here, it was rejected and came back down. So we really have no indication of a buy signal. So if you're planning to go long, you're probably going to want to wait. Okay, we gotta wait. You gotta be patient, and this is not going to work right now. So again, that's why the Ichimoku cloud is very beneficial because it really tells us, if there's an indication of a buy signal. Now, how this come up above the cloud and stayed above for a couple of hours, that might have been a different story. Okay. So that being said, the 15-minute chart, we'll go ahead and take a look at that here next. Let's just go ahead and see kind of what these things look like here. In other words, these are, the two indicators that I typically use to try to find an entry point, right? We've got the volume weighted average price, this blue line here, and the EMA, which is the 15. EMA 15 is a red line here. As we can see, there's no indication of any buy signals here whatsoever. Okay. Now, generally speaking, you always want to wait for confirmation to take entry, right? That's why, chasing the bottom is never a good idea. So say you're trying to buy the bottom here and it goes lower, you could be out. Now, will it go any lower? It's hard to say. We'll take a look at the support and resistance levels, but based on what I see here, I don't see any indication of wanting to, take entry. Obviously, because the price is so below the VWAP and EMA, that really there's no course of action here, right? There's really no reason to consider taking entry. And in fact, why don't we just go ahead and take a look at, let's grab the 4-hour charts. No, let's do the 1-day chart and find some pretty major support levels. That's pretty much all we have to rely on right now. So as we can see here, back in January, roughly about roughly 5 to 6 months ago, we have a support level here, okay? So it was tested twice, right at about 29,000 even. So just go ahead and mark that. We'll keep that on the chart because that is essentially a new, I wouldn't say new support, but as you can see, it was tested here today. So let's just go back to the 15, and you can see here, we just hit this not more than 45 minutes ago. Okay, so again, not a good state of the union here, but good news is that support level is holding for now. So we'll see what happens. That is essentially the very last support level we have, unless we want to kind of reach for straws, because really you don't see much else from here. I mean, I guess you could say that 19 or 20,000 is the support, as well as 24,000, but I don't even want to go there at this point because it just seems like again, a bit of a reach. Okay, so all in all, looking at the 15-minute chart, there's no case in point to want to take entry just based on all the indicators, because it will likely continue downwards. But keep in mind, this is extremely overextended and extremely oversold. So those are telling us that it's a potential good entry point, right? So, again, we've got the RSI extremely low, as well as the MACD kind of swinging upwards here. There is potential for it to come back up, but just note that, it could very well continue downwards as it has for the past week. Like, this is just an ugly, ugly chart. I mean, shoot, we were testing 41,000 no less than 5 days ago. And now here we are, just scraping the bottom of the barrel. And that's how it goes in this kind of climate, unfortunately. Not much else we can do except kind of hold on and, I would say hope for the best, but also be careful not to just take entry because you think it's the bottom. So I guess my prediction here is that Bitcoin will recover back up to maybe 35 and then possibly go sideways for a little bit longer. Will it go much lower? I don't know. It's hard to say. If we have some type of world event, something large that sends price down further, of course, yeah, it will. But pending no world events or things outside of the control of just the traditional technical indicators, we're looking good for a price increase and recovery here from this point. Okay, so if you're going to buy the dip, if you're going to buy in right now or soon, don't take a super large position. Pay close attention as soon as the price comes back down to test 29,000. Be on the lookout. Create a short stop loss just underneath that, and make sure that you do not lose out any further. And we got to be careful. We got to be wise in this market. And unfortunately, we've got a lot of things fighting against us right now, and they're completely out of our control. Okay. So if you found benefit from this, please like and subscribe. We all know that could use it more than ever at this point, considering the state of the market. So really appreciate you watching, and thank you to all my supporters. Also note as well, I do have my Signal group that is live. It's actually been doing very well, so feel free to consider that. That's available through my Patreon account, link in the description below. Why don't we go ahead and bid you adieu. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in the next video. You take care. Thank you.